We are starting with WWE, and for the March 15th episode of Friday Night SmackDown, Hollywood Rock made a triumphant return, thrilling the audience with his iconic theme music from 2003. After expressing his love for Memphis, Rock delivered some musical barbs in the direction of Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and others in the first Rock concert in some time. Fightful Select reports that while it was initially planned to last one segment, WWE was well aware that the concert would extend beyond that initial plan. Brian Gewirtz, who works with The Rock for his creative direction in WWE, took to Twitter and commented on the report, saying the segment went 30 seconds under its allotted time. The segment was allotted 20 minutes, according to Gewirtz, and has done incredible viewership on YouTube as it surpassed 1 million views in under 24 hours. The Rock made sure to entertain fans with his famous segment while adhering to his allotted time, making sure that everyone on the show got the time they'd be allocated. Since returning to WWE, The Rock has been controversial to say the least, from his teased replacing of Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania to his comments as a heel. The Brahma Bull hasn't held back on TV and has been allowed to use profanity on social media, which has ruffled some feathers among the full-time talent in WWE. SE Scoops reports that a recent memo from Triple H, Nick Khan, and talent VP Dan Ventrell emphasized the need for talent to adhere to PG guidelines on TV and on social media. The Rock has evidently not been doing that, with one of his recent video promos starting with an "Are you f***ing kidding me?" when he spoke about Cody Rhodes' emotional Raw promo. SE Scoops reports that these promos are rubbing some the wrong way, as there seems to be a double standard when it comes to The Rock's language compared to other talent. Some WWE stars are asking why he's getting a pass, and the thinking is even a big movie star should have to play by the same rules as everyone else. On Instagram, The Rock addressed the matter, but said that rather than talent, it's networks that have had an issue with his language. The Brahma Bull said that he shoots from the hip and talks straight from the heart and would rather be real, and included a SmackDown line when he said that somebody sounded drunk and horny. But what do you think of this? Is there a double standard in WWE with how they treat The Rock? And does his star power mean he gets to bend the rules? Give your thoughts down in the comments. On the latest SmackDown, it was announced that US Champion Logan Paul will defend his title at WrestleMania 40 against both Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. This will be the fifth two-night WrestleMania, and there's always speculation as to what match will fall on what night, but Paul's own Instagram profile has answered that question. The Maverick shared a post documenting his busy weeks and summarizing his achievements, and in the caption, revealed he'll be competing at WrestleMania 40 Sunday. Among the highlights of Paul's week was the announcement of his triple threat match, as well as Prime Hydration becoming WWE's first ever center ring sponsor. Paul has held the US Championship since Crown Jewel 2023, clinching the title by defeating Rey Mysterio, and his most recent title defense came at the Royal Rumble in January. Logan Paul retained against Kevin Owens on the night thanks to a DQ finish, but the US Champion will have no such advantage at WrestleMania in the triple threat match. Now, Charlotte Flair has been out of action after suffering a knee injury during the December 8, 2023 episode of SmackDown, for which she has since gone under the knife. Though she's expected to miss months of action, Flair was recently shown in promotional images for the March 29th SmackDown, leaving some to speculate if she'll show up. When Ringside News asked a source within WWE about Charlotte Flair being advertised for the show, they were told that Flair is still out of action and currently not booked for the event. It's not uncommon for absent superstars to be advertised by a venue, as this aspect of promotion may not always be under the direct control of the company. Various factors could contribute to a superstar being advertised despite their absence, and the Mohegan Sun Arena may just see Flair as a big star that'll catch attention. Flair is surpassing the expected timeline for her knee rehabilitation post-surgery, and while she won't be at next week's SmackDown, it's likely she'll be back by the end of the year. Parker Boudreaux was once a name to watch in WWE, but would ultimately come to nothing, and since his NXT exit, the powerhouse has found a new home for himself in AEW. Last weekend, though, the former Harlan made his AAA debut with an attack on Octagon Jr. and Mecha Wolf, and it was only the intervention of El Macias that halted the attack. Boudreaux hasn't competed in an official match for AEW in over a year, and with his AAA debut, there have been questions raised about his role with the All Elite promotion. When Ringside News asked around, though, it was confirmed that Parker is still part of AEW, dispelling any notions of a departure. Boudreaux has been a part of the Mogul affiliates, but it remains to be seen when his next AEW match is, and fans can expect to see him in AAA after his recent impactful debut. AEW Collision now, as last week's show was, as we stated in our roundup, one of the best episodes from a wrestling standpoint, with solid matches throughout. Danielson vs. Shibata was nothing short of a dream match, and Adam Copeland had an impassioned promo, but not many fans made the effort to go see the show. An unflattering photo from the show, particularly during Adam Copeland's segment featuring his spiked weapon, has surfaced, revealing a dishearteningly sparse attendance on one side. This visual has prompted discussions about AEW's choice of larger venues, which some argue may contribute to these unflattering snapshots. AEW books venues the same size that WWE books, but doesn't pull in nearly the crowd their competition does, which leads to unflattering photos such as this one and others. Some have suggested that perhaps downsizing venue choices could mitigate such optics and improve the overall presentation, but doing so would surely be seen as a step back for AEW. AEW can brag about having events in big venues, but photos like these tell the real story, and would you make the effort to go see Collision? Let us know down in the comments. For years, Dr. Martha Hart has rejected WWE's efforts to put Owen in the Hall of Fame, as she's blamed the company and Vince McMahon for his tragic death at Over the Edge 1999. With McMahon gone though, Jim Ross was asked on his podcast whether an Owen induction may finally happen, and believes it's possible that Martha could change her mind. JR pointed out that there's a world of difference between she could change her mind and she will, but said that Vince McMahon was the biggest roadblock over the matter. During his own Hall of Fame induction, Mark Henry pled with Martha to let Owen be inducted, but it'll ultimately be up to the woman who lost her husband in May 1999. It was in August of 2023 that Bray Wyatt tragically passed away at the age of 36, and since then, the WWE Universe has done what it can to keep his memory alive. During a street fight between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes at a WWE live event in Augusta, Georgia, the fans did just that during the show's main event. Fans in attendance transformed the arena into a sea of fireflies, reminiscent of Wyatt's iconic entrance and promos, and the emotional moment was captured on video. Following an exhilarating battle, Rhodes, who spoke on the SmackDown after Wyatt's passing, emerged victorious against the Scottish psychopath in a hard-fought main event. Now Rhodes shifts his focus towards two main event matches at WrestleMania 40, but we're sure he wishes his good friend Bray Wyatt was still able to be on the card. In December, it was reported that WWE think Omos could excel as a special attraction, though no specific creative pitches have been made for the former Raw Tag Team Champion. Since then, though, Omos has been wrestling semi-regularly at WWE live events, and during a recent event, extended his impressive winning streak against Akira Tozawa. Omos is now 25-0 against Tozawa, with a streak dating back to July 2023, and Omos is 15-1 this year, with his only loss being in the Men's Royal Rumble match. In 2023, Omos achieved an impressive 33-4 win-loss record, but despite this, WWE haven't done anything meaningful for the Nigerian giant on WWE TV in quite some time. How do you think WWE could effectively reintegrate Omos to TV to capitalize on his record and showcase his dominance? Let us know in the comments below. Last month, Mike Jones, best known as Virgil, passed away due to a series of health issues and multiple strokes, and now more has come to light about his final days. Despite his wrestling career, Virgil's final days were uncharacteristic of a seasoned veteran, and when speaking to Sportskeeda, Teddy Long shared insights into Virgil's struggles. He said, "I saw him on the road in passing and had a chance to talk to him and stuff, so he's just a nice guy. In fact, I talked to Tony Atlas today, and I asked him, 'Tony, have you heard anything about how Virgil died?' And Tony said he had several strokes, whatever, and last time I did see him, he wasn't doing too good, man. He was trying to hitchhike a ride from somewhere to the next town or something, man. So Virgil just wasn't doing good at all." It's a shame that Virgil was seriously struggling in the final days of his life, and his issues extended far past the health setbacks he'd been dealing with for years. Now Virgil can finally get some peace, and we're continuing to send our very best wishes to those who knew him at this sad time. On the latest WWE SmackDown episode, LA Knight publicly called out AJ Styles and challenged him to a match at WrestleMania, and it didn't take long for the Phenomenal One to respond. In a video shared to Twitter, Styles responded tonight claiming in his promo that he'll get his hands on AJ soon, and in response, the former WWE champ said he won't be at SmackDown. Styles isn't planning on being at SmackDown and letting Knight have the chance to attack him, but said he will be at WrestleMania and he'll see the megastar there. It's improbable that LA Knight would simply accept being denied the opportunity to confront Styles for the next 3 weeks and will likely be on the hunt for his phenomenal adversary. As for AJ, he doesn't plan on being at SmackDown for the next number of weeks, but if we've learned anything from his heel turn, it's that he's likely got something else up his sleeve. We mentioned earlier that Omos has picked up a 25-0 winning streak at WWE events against Akira Tozawa, but he's not the only superstar racking up victories at untelevised shows. At a recent event in North Charleston, South Carolina, LA Knight got a win over Solo Sikoa, moving the megastar to 15-0 against the Bloodline's enforcer in one-on-one matches. While Knight beating Sikoa was nothing new, Knight debuted a jumping BFT for his most recent victory, and the very smooth-looking move was enough to put Sikoa away. Knight is planning on using that move at WrestleMania on AJ Styles, if not sooner than that, as the megastar wants to remind fans that he's a champion in the making. During the Elimination Chamber Perth event, Drew McIntyre cashed his ticket to WrestleMania by winning the men's match, but this was hardly an easy win for the Scottish Warrior. McIntyre endured an injury to his ear during the event and went on the Gorilla Position podcast, saying that the injury only exacerbated a previous issue with his hearing. McIntyre added that he bore the brunt of most of the heavy falls in the match and said he's been relying on lip reading to grasp much of the conversation due to his hearing. He said, "Physically, I still feel terrible from the Elimination Chamber. I took most of the big falls, it seemed, even though I guess Randy's maybe got bigger than me these days, and Bobby Lashley's jacked, but basically the biggest guys somehow ended up taking all the worst falls. Logan Paul diving on my face and getting my eardrum perforated, so I'm kind of staring at your lips watching what you're saying because I found out about a year and a half ago from an ear specialist because I have bad hearing in general that I taught myself to lip read, which I had no idea. We did a little test where he was talking. He had me put my fingers in my ears where I could still hear him. Was telling him what he was saying, and he slowly slipped up a piece of paper in front of his face, and I was like, I can't hear what you're saying, you've lowered your voice. My wife was like, he hasn't, he's the exact same volume. He went, yeah, you're a smart guy. You just taught yourself to lip read because your hearing is so bad. Oh, fantastic. Then it got perforated. So I won't say who it was because I don't want them to feel bad, but it's very annoying because I can't hear jack. It's a difficult position McIntyre has found himself in, as he should get his ear properly examined, but his current WWE run and its proximity to WrestleMania would make this difficult. McIntyre is on the cusp of finally having a world title win in front of a live crowd, a moment robbed from him in 2020, and hopefully he'll be able to hear the fans should a win happen. Before his recent heel turn, Drew McIntyre was a fresh meat babyface for years and helped carry WWE during the pandemic, where he was a two-time WWE champion. Nothing lasts forever though, and as fans got tired of McIntyre's work, he became his current heel gimmick, which has breathed new life into his on-screen character. Speaking on Gorilla Position, Drew McIntyre opened up about his journey of evolution within WWE, acknowledging a point where he felt the need to break out of his comfort zone. McIntyre knew it was time to add layers and change things up, and he expressed a desire to make a true difference at the top of the card and not just be a supporting player. He said, I was feeling what I was going through, what everyone was going through, those emotions were very real, but it got to a point where I knew we have to evolve. Like, I guess it just doesn't feel like the right fit anymore. I can't just stay in the same spot, and I'm coming out to the ring and people are like, oh, there's Drew, we love Drew, hi Drew. There we go, but it's just this, it's just same old Drew, same hat, sword and smiling and whatnot, and I was like, alright, we got to evolve, we got to add some layers, we got to change things up, and I kind of went through that process of, okay, I'm old hat. I can be slid in wherever to help a talent, elevated going through the legs, but it's not working for me, brother. Like, I didn't come here to make up the numbers. I came here to be top of the card, make a true difference to the overall show, and I didn't feel like we were doing it. In the past few months, McIntyre felt empowered to showcase his real self and tell authentic stories thanks to the creative freedom granted by WWE's collaborative creative team. The Scottish Warrior compared this freedom to his indie days, where he had full control over his character and storytelling across various promotions. McIntyre emphasized that while it's now a collaboration, his words and emotions are genuine, making the storytelling feel real and impactful. Drew McIntyre is perhaps at his most engaging since 2020, and this time has a live crowd to work off, and it'll be interesting to see where the heel goes next on the road to WrestleMania. But what have you made to McIntyre's heel run? Are you excited for this direction? And will he be the man to dethrone Seth Rollins? Give your take in the comments section below. At a recent Memphis Grizzlies NBA game, Jerry the King Lawler was celebrated in his hometown and was set to be presented with a special Lifetime Achievement title. Unfortunately for the King, AEW's Jeff Jarrett and Satnam Singh were on hand to ruin the celebration, with the Indian Giant stealing the title during a timeout in the first quarter. This is actually not the first time Lawler and Jarrett have had a segment at a Grizzlies game, as in 2018, Jarrett won a match against the King at a game thanks to a shot with his trademark guitar. Hopefully Lawler was able to get the title back, as the King is a true legend in Memphis, as the crowd response made clear during his appearance at this recent NBA game. Since joining WWE back in September 2023, Jade Cargill has competed just one time for WWE, that being as part of the Women's Royal Rumble match almost 2 years ago. During a recent episode of Friday Night SmackDown, Bayley and Dakota Kai formed a team against the Kabuki Warriors, only for Kai to betray the role model. Following the incident, Jade Cargill confronted WWE Women's Champion Io Sky, the Kabuki Warriors, and Dakota Kai backstage before heading to Nick Aldis's office. While it seemed like an angle was being teased, WWE is simply not doing anything with Jade, and when a fan on Twitter asked when she'd wrestle next, the AEW alum gave a unique answer. Cargill joked that she'll never wrestle again, adding that she's making plenty without having to get in the ring, and said that she's told fans all of this in the past. Fans had expected Jade for WrestleMania, but she's not yet booked for the show, and what do you think of her current in-ring status? Let us know in the comments below. Now, yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, and as is tradition, the White House opened its doors to prominent Irish names, and that included WWE's very own Becky Lynch. The man's arrival at the big house comes mere days before her new memoir, Not Your Average Girl, hits shelves, but those in the White House now have an advanced copy. Taking to Twitter, Becky shared a photo of herself in the White House enjoying her own book, and said she was pleased she could class up the library by leaving a copy of her book on a shelf. Lynch may have had fun at the White House, but her focus remains on WrestleMania 40, where she'll challenge WWE Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley. On Instagram, Lynch said it was an honor to represent Ireland at the White House, and said that President Biden predicted a win for Becky Balboa in Philadelphia. While Becky's book isn't out yet, the man has been giving sneak previews of her memoir, including one photo from the book that's gone viral. The image in question sees Becky and Seth Rollins after WrestleMania 35 wearing absolutely nothing except for their championship titles. While speaking to the New York Post, Lynch revealed that Seth Rollins was not aware that the aforementioned photo would be in the book, as she'd forgotten to remind him. She said, "I could have sworn that I told him. Turns out I must have had the conversation with myself and thought that I had it with him. Apparently, I didn't ask him about putting the picture in the book, but he just laughed. He thought it was funny, thank God. That could have gone horribly wrong." Now Lynch is on the cusp of adding a new championship to her collection, and we're sure she and Rollins will have quite the way to celebrate should the title change hands in Philly. And we're ending today with CM Punk, who is currently out of action in WWE but has been able to make news on social media, not for what he said, but rather what he missed. In his Instagram post, Punk shared a photo of himself with Brody King and Samoa Joe, wishing the pair happy birthdays, and is clearly close to his former colleagues. As to what company Punk worked with them in, that'll remain a mystery, as on his Instagram story, Punk covered up the logo of said company when sharing the photo. Punk covered up the company's logo with an image of Danhausen, another wrestler who competes for this company, which Punk clearly didn't want to make reference to. It's been close to 200 days since Punk was fired from that company, and going off this post, the last thing WWE's Chicago-made star wants is to remind fans of any elite promotion.